We've got a guest, Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois. He's a member of both the Intelligence and Oversight Committees, and you heard him asking questions just a little while ago. Congressman, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Fiona Hill seemed to shatter these Republican conspiracy theories today, but what was your reaction when you heard those exchanges with members of your committee and her?
Well, I think somebody said on your panel what I was about to say, which is that at some point they just stopped asking her questions because they weren't able to handle her responses. And I think at one point they asked a question and their time ran out, and I think they were happy that their time ran out, and the Chairman Schiff, allowed her to continue responding, and they were livid. But that's the rules of the committee. The witness is allowed to answer a question if it's outstanding. I think that she obviously is a brilliant expert on the issues that we're talking about every day in the committee. But as a fact witness, she was also convincing with regard to her conversations with Gordon Sondland and her pointing out that, he was on a domestic political errand, whereas she and the National Security Council were really trying to protect our national security. Those are two totally different topics. And, unfortunately, the president did assign to Gordon Sondland something that he should never have, which is, trying to get another power to investigate his political rivals.
What were your impressions, Congressman, of David Holmes, the counselor for political affairs at the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, who overheard that phone conversation between the president and the U.S. ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland? I
thought he was convincing. He gave facts that were, consistent with his deposition testimony and his opening statements in both. And I think that he was also somebody who tried to stay in his lane, so to speak, and testified as to what he knew, what he saw, what he heard. And I think he really did hear the president speak on that phone. He talked about how the phone call was, or at least the president was very loud on the phone, and Gordon Sondland, he gave testimony yesterday which was not contradictory for the vast majority of what was described today in that phone call.
Fiona Hill described what she described as this shadow policy in Ukraine as a domestic political errand. But your Republican colleague, Will Hurd of Texas, who's not seeking re-election, he said, yes, the policy may have been misguided, but not necessarily enough to impeach the President of the United States. What's your response?
Well, gosh, I'm withholding judgment on impeachment until we're completed with our assignment right now in the inquiry stage, and it goes to the Judiciary Committee. But I got to say, there's a lot of evidence that's stacked up over the last couple of weeks that support any number of offenses, from abuse of power to coercion to bribery to obstruction. And so I respectfully disagree with Congressman Hurd that there isn't enough evidence to support an impeachable offense. At the end of the day, this is what it's about, Wolf, which is, are we going to allow a president to use the immense power of the office to basically pressure another power to investigate his or her political rivals here? Not only that, but you're also using the full tools of the government to investigate a private citizen of this country. That's like the worst fear of any individual with regard to their government. So I think this is very serious.
Congressman Krishnamurthy, thanks so much for joining us on this important day.
Thank you.